Hi, it's Katrina. From a penguin who travels across the world to visit the man who saved him, to a polar bear sleeping in the house, here are 9 amazing and unusual friendships between wild animals and humans. Number 9. The Wolfman. Shaun Ellis is an English animal researcher whose formal training started at the Wolf Education and Research Center in northern Idaho. During his time there, he gained acceptance into a wolf pack and lived with them. He also learned how to identify individual pack members and realized through his observations of their behavior that wolves are highly intelligent and intuitive creatures with complex social systems. Ever since, Ellis's life has revolved around wolves, who he almost seems to like and relate to more than humans. He founded the Wolfpack Management in North Devon, England, where he rescued 6 privately owned wolves and worked with 17 others. In 2005, he spent a year and a half living with 3 abandoned captive wolf pups. By carefully mimicking their behavior, he acted as the alpha male and taught them how to behave like wild wolves, which haven't existed in England since the 17th century. Ellis hopes to eventually reintroduce wild wolves to the country, but it's doubtful that his vision will ever come to fruition. He's already run into problems over the years with complaints from the neighbors and difficulty obtaining planning permission for the Wolf Education Research Center he founded. Ellis relocated in 2018 due to these ongoing problems, and now only works with wolf-dog hybrids, who are mostly wolf and are almost identical in appearance and behavior to full-blooded wolves. The purpose of his center is for research and education, specializing in the social and emotional development of wolves and dogs. Many people take their dogs to Shaun like the dog whisperer, but in his case, of course, he's the wolf whisperer. Number 8. The Crocodile Cuddler. You'd think that crocodile and cuddle don't really go together. In Costa Rica in 1989, a fisherman named Gilberto Chito Shedden discovered a distressed male crocodile on the banks of the Reventazón River. The emaciated animal was reduced to just 150 pounds or 70 kilos and was near death. The cattle farmer had shot him in his left eye, rendering him both injured and helpless. As an animal lover, Chito was compelled to help the ailing 5-meter-long crocodile, who he loaded onto his boat, took home, and named Pocho. For the next 6 months, he nursed Pocho back to health. He fed the crocodile, gave him medicine, and even slept with him at night. Food wasn't enough, Chito later explained. The crocodile needed my love to regain the will to live. They clearly developed a very special bond. When Pocho was fully recovered, Chito released him back into the wild, but he returned to his rescuer. It was clear that Pocho had no intention of parting ways with his new friend, so Chito obtained the proper wildlife permits from the Costa Rican government, so he could legally keep the crocodile. For 20 years, the two were inseparable. They spent hours swimming and playing together daily. Pocho was always gentle with Chito, despite his ability to harm his human friend easily if he wanted to. They even performed a weekly act for curious spectators from around the world and were featured in a documentary by filmmaker Roger Horrocks, who speculated that the gunshot Pocho suffered may have inhibited his instinctive behavior and made him unusually tame. But the unique bond between Chito and Pocho was authentic regardless, and there are probably many things about crocodile behavior and relationships we just don't know yet. Pocho passed away in 2011 from natural causes. He was around 50 years old. And now for number 7. But first, be sure to share your animal stories in the comments below. I know everyone would like to hear them. I also want to give a quick shout out to Mega Matt Dragon. So glad you like the long videos. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe and click that bell so you don't miss out on more videos like these. Number 7. The Man Who Raised a Lion. Frikkie van Solms is a retired lion caretaker who lives in South Africa. In 2004, when he was still working, he rescued a cub named Zion, who was born into captivity and separated from his mother due to a fear that the feline's father would kill him. Because Zion was too gentle to live in the wild, he was relocated to the property where Van Solms worked and where he grew up alongside several other rescued big cats. Over the years, and despite being just one of many residents at the refuge, Zion developed a close connection with his caretaker. Since Zion, I have raised 19 lions and leopards and cheetahs, but he is special because of the bond that we share, Van Solms explained in a 2015 Daily Mail interview. They spent over 11 years together and became joined at the hip. When the two walked together, Van Solms removed his shoes because the noise bothered Zion. Even after growing to 560 pounds, Zion regularly rode in his caretaker's truck, and Van Solms never feared him. "Zion is a gentle giant," he told the Daily Mail. "He has never attacked humans, and I trust him completely." Von Salms retired in 2015 and moved to the Namibian coast, where he and his wife Tilly started a tour company called Untamed Travel Africa. Number 6. The Visiting Penguin. In May 2011, on the Brazilian island of Ilha Grande, which is located near the mainland city of Rio de Janeiro, a retired bricklayer named João Pereira de Souza came upon a penguin. It was a Magellanic penguin covered in oil who could barely move. He cleaned and fed the bird, whom he named Dindim, and monitored his condition for several days. When Dindim seemed well enough to return to the wild, de Souza released him on a nearby island away from his home. But the penguin returned to the man's backyard the same day and remained there until the following February, when he returned to the sea on his own accord. Dindim reappeared again several months later. Ever since, he visits de Souza annually during the penguins' migrations when they travel to breed. Scientists tagged Dindim in 2016 and conclusively determined that it's the same bird who appears on the island every year and greets the retiree like an old friend. Many people misinterpreted the situation thanks partially to inaccurate media coverage. While some people mistakenly believed that Dindim was kept as a pet, others thought the heartwarming story seemed unrealistic, especially the part about the penguin's yearly stopover in Ilha Grande. Biologist João Paulo Krajewski, who documented Dindim and de Souza's friendship, clarified in a Facebook post that Dindim sleeps in his rescuer's backyard when he visits. He was never kept in captivity and has 24/7 access to the beach and comes and goes as he pleases. Krajewski also explained that Magellanic penguins are very loyal to their partners and nesting sites, and returning to the same place every year is an inherent behavior. While it's undeniably unusual for a penguin to treat a human like a family member, Dindim and de Souza's friendship proves that it's not impossible. But of course, that's what makes it special. Number 5. Pals with a polar bear. Mark and Dawn Dumas are bear trainers who own and operate a menagerie and training facility called Beyond Bears Inc. in Abbotsford, British Columbia, Canada, near Vancouver. One of their animal actors is an 800-pound polar bear named Aggie, who has starred in high-budget commercials and movies. When she's not working, chances are Aggie is wherever Mark is. He's cared for the 24-year-old bear since she was 8 weeks old. At the time, Aggie was being hand-raised by zoo staff because her mother was too old to care for her, and Mark offered to take her in. Over the years, the two forged a strong friendship. They swim, snuggle, play, and exchange bear hugs, and she even lives inside the Dumas' home. Sometimes people criticize Mark for his decision to own a bear, citing safety and ethical concerns. When journalist Jess Hardiman broached this topic in a 2018 interview with Mark for Lad Bible, he was quick to point out that Aggie has a much better life with him than she would in the wild, where he alleges polar bears have a lower life expectancy, or at a zoo, and that he simply ignores the naysayers. In his defense, he has all the necessary certifications to possess Aggie and his other animals, and she is certainly loved and well provided for. On the other hand, while Mark and Aggie's relationship is adorable, for many, wild animal ownership in general raises valid moral questions from an animal rights standpoint. What are your thoughts about keeping wild animals as pets? Let me know in the comments. Number 4. The Controversial Conservationist. British businessman and conservationist John Damien Aspinall runs the John Aspinall Foundation, an organization his father started and which focuses on releasing captive-bred gorillas and other animals into the wild. Aspinall wants to close all zoos, a vision that has sparked a lot of controversy over the years. Most experts believe that after spending a certain amount of time in the care of humans, an animal cannot survive in nature, especially if they were born and raised in captivity. Despite such criticism, the Aspinall Foundation continues its work. To date, the organization has released at least 80 gorillas, many of whom Aspinall spent years bonding with before they parted ways. His heart was in the right place, but while many animal rights activists frown upon captivity, most understand that some animals need lifelong care and supervision. Aspinall unfortunately failed to envision the potential negative consequences of his project, and numerous gorillas didn't make it for long after their experimental release. The multimillionaire was devastated by the tragedies, but to the disappointment of many, he remains dedicated to his vision of returning captive-bred animals to their species' natural habitats. What do you think about this? Let me know in the comments. Controversy aside, Aspinall seems to genuinely care for his gorillas and wants what he thinks is best for them. In 2010, he reunited with a 10-year-old gorilla named Quibi, who was released in the West African country of Gabon 5 years earlier. Quibi recognized Aspinall and made affectionate noises as he greeted him. They engaged in bonding behaviors, including physical affection and feeding leaves to each other. When it was time for Aspinall to leave, Quibi clung to him. Their authentic connection is evident in video footage of the reunion, which became a viral feel-good story, but which also showed that after years in the wild, Quibi still exhibited the behaviors of a domesticated gorilla. Number 3. Baby elephant to the rescue. Derek Thompson is the co-founder of the Save Elephant Foundation, which runs Elephant Nature Park in Chiang Mai, Thailand. He's especially close with an elephant he rescued as a calf named Kam La, who absolutely adores her caretaker and has even accepted him into her herd. When she first arrived at the sanctuary, Thompson made it a point to show her love and help her heal from her mental anguish. One of Kam La's favorite activities is walking with Thompson while holding hands. One day in 2016, when Kam La was still a calf, Thompson began calling her name as he floated down a nearby river. She interpreted his yelling as distress calls and rushed into the water. When she reached Thompson, she extended her trunk toward him as an offer to guide him to shore and then protectively stood over him. Thompson wasn't actually drowning, just calling to her, but Kam La acted heroically just the same, reminding us that elephants are highly intelligent and sensitive beings who form strong social bonds and are always there for their friends. Number 2. The Hyena Man. Abbas Yusuf lives in the ancient city of Harar in eastern Ethiopia. Every night, a pack of spotted hyenas roams the streets in search of food, and every night, Yusuf gives them scraps of meat, which they calmly take right out of his hand. Would you be brave enough to feed a wild hyena? His father taught him to feed the hyenas to lure them away from livestock. And while most people are terrified of these reputedly ravenous canines, local residents don't think Yusuf is crazy for interacting with them because they're not scared either. In fact, peacefully coexisting with hyenas is a long-standing tradition in Harar, but this is extremely rare. Since the 16th century, locals have marked the Prophet Muhammad's birth by offering the hyenas a porridge made of goat meat and butter. If they don't indulge, it's perceived as an omen of bad luck for the city. Harar's acceptance and kindness toward these woefully misunderstood animals even attracts curious tourists who watch as Yusuf feeds them meat scraps from his mouth. He explained to Reuters in 2017 that the hyenas have only ever attacked people who harm their cubs. Number 1. The RealLife Mowgli. Tippi Degre was born in Namibia in 1990 to French parents who were freelance wildlife photographers and filmmakers. She spent the first 10 years of her childhood living fearlessly among southern Africa's most dangerous wild animals, and even befriended many of them, including an elephant, leopard, ostrich, and a giant bullfrog, as well as meerkats, lions, giraffes, chameleons, snakes, you name it. Her parents' photographs of the family's life, and especially of Tippi, became world famous. In 1997, her fascinating experiences were the subject of a French documentary called The World According to Tippi. Soon enough, Degre came to represent the alliance between children, animals, and nature. Besides living a life beyond many kids' wildest dreams, Tippi accomplished a lot as a child and got a very early start on her career. In 2000, she wrote a novel based on her life in Namibia, Botswana, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Madagascar, called Tippi: My Life in Africa. The following year, she was the godmother of the World Wildlife Fund. In 2002 and 2003, Degre hosted 6 Discovery Channel wildlife and environmental documentaries entitled Around the World with Tippi. After studying cinema and audio visuals in France, she continues to incorporate her love for animals into her work as a speaker and conservationist, and in the documentary film industry. She's currently the director of the children's portion of the International Environmental Film Festival, or FICMA, in Barcelona. Thanks for watching! Would you like to hear more stories about human encounters with wild animals? Leave your suggestions in the comments below and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time. Bye!